Guys. So today we're gonna speak about the failed Iran-USA negotiations and see what the future holds. As we speak, the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most vital energy artery, is under a shadow of a naval blockade. There was a marathon 24-hour talk in Islamabad in Pakistan, which just collapsed, leaving the world wondering, are we headed for a diplomatic breakthrough or a global conflict, an all-out war? Um, if we think about the pretensions of each part, Washington demands that no uranium would be enriched on Iranian soil even further, and then there's the question of the existing stockpiles. And the option here is to be moved to a third party, to a third country, something that Iran would trust, for example, Russia or China. But for Iran, the enrichment of uranium is a matter of, let's say, national pride, and they consider this to be their right. And especially following the recent military strikes from USA and Israel, they view a nuclear deterrent as their only guarantee against the regime change. So having nuclear weapons would put them in an untouchable position, or so they consider. So that was the gap, the bridge needed on the gap between the zero enrichment and surrendering all the uranium enriched resources that USA asked for, and the so-called nuclear right to develop to enrich uranium, because Iran never stated clearly that they're working towards a nuclear weapon. So the USA response. President Donald Trump mentioned that a naval blockade will start today on April the 13th, and they vow to intercept any vessels, and especially the ones paying those illegal fees. As you remember, Iran wanted to tax the oil tankers for passing through the Hormuz Strait. So first this allowed the passing of tankers they they thought they were related to unfriendly countries, but they left the tankers from Pakistan and China and other countries they consider friendly, so they left those to go through the Strait of Hormuz, but the others they've attacked or threatened to attack, and now they are thinking to ask for a tax. So since Iran is just on the northern part of the Hormuz Stream, and the south part is Oman, the idea is that they would split these taxes. We haven't heard on Oman yet what are their response to this, if they are also in favor of asking any taxes for the passing on the strait. But the stake of the middle is that this is just not a local dispute anymore, and it's a huge threat to the global oil prices. And a single misstep here from either the U.S. or Israeli or Iranian side could trigger a huge worldwide economic recession. As we speak, the conditions of the worldwide economies are not great. So I would say we are. Maybe not on the brink of a recession, but close to that. So with a huge increase in oil price, um, it will come down to that. And we've seen briefly the oil price going over 100 USD. It seems to calm down a bit after the announcement of the negotiation talks and after President Trump very strongly ultimatum expired, and he was also okay to negotiate. But now that the negotiations failed, um, it's it's not only Iran that it's ran out of cards, but also President Trump and US. So they don't have a lot of cards either, uh, despite their bravado. If we consider also the regional proxies and the Lebanon connection in the Middle East, Iran is also tying the success of these negotiation talks to a ceasefire in Lebanon. And they want the US to restrain Israel, to put them on a leash and stop them attacking Hezbollah. And as you know, um, the, war, let's say, because it's a war in Lebanon, continued. So even during this ceasefire and the negotiation, there was still uh, a war there between Israel and Lebanon. Um, the US stance on that was that Trump refused to let the regional proxy wars dictate the terms of the maritime and nuclear agreement. So they were more focused on Iran not developing nuclear weapon capacities and less on what's happening with Hezbollah or Lebanon. So for USA, these are not connected. For Iran, obviously they come in the same basket. So this is a challenge, and it's hard to solve the US-Iran problem without addressing the Israel, Hezbollah, Lebanon triangle, because the Hezbollah is supported by Iran. The Hezbollah, even in peacetime, next to Hamas, it's basically their means of attack on Israel, and also the reason why Israel feels like they need to change the regime in Iran or whatever they're trying to do. So this should be part of the negotiations. It was anyway one of the causes for the war. Because yeah, on the nuclear weapon, you never know how close or far away the Iranian regime is to develop one. So it's not definitely a few days or a few minutes, as President Trump strongly, very strongly says. And he has a problem with this war because the midterm elections in the USA are close, and he's lost a lot of popularity. The Republican Party has lost a lot of popularity, and he's facing a humiliating defeat in the midterms if things continue in this. More than that, Iran still views the 2018 withdrawal from the previous treaty as a betrayal, and they are demanding about 6 billion US dollars in frozen assets and war reparations before signing anything. And of course, they blame USA and Israel for all the bombings and the destructions caused in Iran, and they want them to pay the bill before agreeing to a ceasefire. And even the tax on the Strait of Hormuz is seen by Iran in the same way. So they see it as a way to repair their destroyed infrastructure during the war. And let's not forget there was a previous wave of attacks last year, and definitely Iran is thinking that uh, a next wave of attack could follow the next year or in the future. So they also want to make sure that this threat is no longer a concern. Then there is a credibility gap because the Iranian negotiators, led by their parliament president Ghalibaf, feel that the U.S. delegation, represented by J.D. Vance and Trump's son-in-law, is actually asking for Iranian surrender disguised as diplomacy. And of course, Iran stated that they will not surrender, and they've defied all the ultimatums from Trump. So um, don't think they will back up now. On the internal pressure, Both leaders have pressure at home. As I've said, for Trump, it's the midterms where he's looking at a humiliating defeat again, and he'll probably take that personal as always, and he can't lie out of that. So he will get a big slap from the American people. And then, of course, the Iranian regime has a new Ayatollah, which wasn't seen in public. Rumors are that he's severely wounded and definitely could become a target. So it doesn't have the strong grip on the regime that his father had. So in conclusion, there are these challenges: the nuclear enrichment from Iran, the Hormuz Strait blockade, and the regional proxies. And there seems that US and Iran aren't able to find some common ground on that. So we can maybe conclude that the 2 week truce is over and the blockade begins, and the war is resuming. And obviously, the oil goes up in price. So, will it hit back 100 USD? We'll just wait and see.